October town meeting, special election, which you could have 30 days after town meeting.
So not tied to November, but
Not
do it
tied to
till after
November.
the October meeting.
Right. That's another alternative. I'm sorry, but I am very much in support of this project. I've gone to a number of meetings as liaison. There's no question about the work that's been done. There's no question about this project and its benefits. They're longer-term benefits. They're not going to solve this year or next year's budget problem. And I think we need to move forward with it. But I want to go there and I want to win. And I don't see us winning by putting a question in the April town meeting and a ballot question in May. I really don't. The board's not prepared to support it at this point from the point of view of being able to present just how it's going to work. And that's my position at this point.
I don't think you're waiting that long to get into the second half of the year, and I really think this is so important. I really think that it's a huge thing. I think it's one of those deals where if everybody hears it, anybody who hears it would have to say yes. How could you say no to it? Everyone who hears it have to say no. But the point is that if you do it in the May election, right, people aren't going to hear you. That's the question. It's not that if they hear you, they'll say yes, okay? But will they hear you? And the answer is I don't think they'll hear you. People are focused on what, this election is totally different than that, and people are very focused on it. So I think you'll end up getting ignored. It'd be, and when it's, really by itself, boy, I can't imagine people saying no to it. They didn't say no, even though the town is not approving overrides as a general rule, saying no. And I agree with Joe, okay? I wasn't in favor of a 3-year and a 1-year override last year, and I feel that it sunk the 1 year. And I think that, but if you look, even though we don't have a good history with override recently, right? The fact of the matter is we did approve, the town did approve, and proved by a sizable margin, okay, the police station, because they saw something needed to be done. They saw that it was either approve the police station or we were going to waste $1 million on it, okay? And I think they do see cause and effect but if you throw it into all the confusion that's going to go on in this particular election, I think you're lost. So I agree. I just as soon see us wait.
Let me ask this question of the board. If we were to approve a question on the October town meeting ballot warrant, would you support a special election?
Absolutely. I would.
I would if the homework has been done.
Well, I would assume.
Well,
I
can't assume it,
we haven't
but I'm going to assume it
no,
would be.
If we haven't done the homework for October
right.
town meeting, then.
No, again, I may even be willing to support something sooner than that if they're ready and their motor and the momentum is such that it warrants even taking it up sooner. I mean, it's the additional cost of a town meeting. I don't know what that is, maybe $1,200 or something. I think
Not that much.
$800 or $800 or something like that. Then I may even be willing to consider a special town meeting, a special election sooner than that. I know you're talking about October to save the cost of the town meeting. But again, the cost of the town meeting and the whole scheme of things.
Plus, we don't need a quorum.
Well, you would. You need 150 people for special.
No, I'm
October
talking
you
about
would. Right, October you wouldn't. But I mean, something like this, I think you would want 150 people. You would want a quorum requirement.
Right,
So to answer your question, yes, I would support the proposal, and I may even support it on a moved up time frame.
Warren.
Yes, thank you. One of the issues with this whole thing, well, there's a couple of things that happen. What happened here, I think a well-attended town meeting is probably the largest group we get to present to that we could come up with in any one given spot. I mean, if not the perfect, this is close to the perfect opportunity to speak to a large majority of voters as you'll ever have.
But Warren,
you can speak. We don't have any problem with the
Warren,
speaking.
I think it's the second article.
Yeah, Article 2.
Article 2, right, provides the opportunity at the wishes of town meeting floor to hear the reports.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
Right.
But
This is your opportunity.
Okay. And one of the things that we're going to have to say to them is that by not having it on this meeting, that just the increase, just the inflated cost will far exceed the override budget that you're looking at now. in that time frame. So, I mean, there's a price to pay for it. I mean, yeah, I understand, and first of all, let me say from my position, I think the rest of the committee would reflect this. Bob, what you are saying and what you guys are trying to do is appreciated. We understand what you're trying to do is give us a big enough window so that we can be sure to get enough education out there. We actually have a bid out there already. Do we have enough? Can we get enough by that time? In view of the fact that some of these groups are able to communicate fairly rapidly and get quite a large number of people together, there is a possibility that we could get enough education out there to make this all work. I think that we're a little frustrated in that we've had this ready for a while, and we really see opportunities slipping away, slipping away, slipping away. And at some point, you got to take a stand, and you got to say, this is ready. This really needs to be done. So, having said that, though, the board's attempt to move it even a little sooner after this meeting and for a special town meeting and a special election to try to get it out there sooner alleviates some of that problem as far as the interest in and the increased cost goes. We're not going to save a penny or make a penny by waiting. That's the guarantee, and everybody knows that. These projects never do. And the only thing that that we will do, perhaps, is make the thing cost more money, and perhaps mix it in with what appears to be a somewhat contentious election, which will certainly take the focus off of this. So again, I think that while April would be very much preferable, not too far after that type of situation. Again, our intent is not to do that because of the cost. Again, you guys would have to battle with that cost, and we've already watched the battles with cost that you guys have had. You didn't want to do that to you, basically. We're hoping to fit it into that existing framework to keep that cost out of it. Even that number of dollars is important in a budget that's as tight as what we have. So that was why one of the reasons we were looking at moving ahead in a framework, in a structure that already existed.
Thank you, Warren. Young lady in the back.
Ms. Connery, I'm also on the wastewater committee, and I'm just thinking, would you be willing to consider possibly keeping it on the April town meeting warrant, and then having a special election maybe in June, which provides us a few more weeks? Summer's wasted, we all know that. We're not going to get much education
Has to be 30
over
days.
summer months with people traveling. And I think, where would we put it if it were in the fall, It's going to be tight there. If we could do it in the spring still, before summer break, does that appeal to anyone?
Steve?
Somewhat an answer to your question. I consider myself fairly well engaged within the community and talk with a pretty broad segment, pretty cross-section of the community. And I can honestly tell you, unless I initiated the topic, I haven't had any discussion with anybody about it. So as far as the outreach and what's happening now, there's an awful lot of work to do here. And again, I believe it's an easy sell, but I think a hard and fast sell is not necessarily a guarantee of success. I think in something as major of an undertaking as this, which is going to have some far-reaching effects, I think the general public needs to go in with eyes wide open and fully embrace the project, which I believe they can and will do with enough time to look at it. As far as April town meeting warrant article and June, I still think that's too soon. I don't think that gives you enough time and the public enough time to concentrate on the details of the project and what's going to be proposed to properly become informed. So
We don't lose the momentum in the summertime.
I understand. I understand. The calendar isn't very good to us. When it becomes summertime is one issue, and then it becomes wintertime. So it's very quickly. And then there's weather issues, and who knows. So I just think that what you've done is a terrific job. The committee has done a fabulous job and invested years in looking at the project.
And spent a
What needs
fair
to be-
amount of money, too.
It's
so-
spent a fair amount of money on it. So I believe we're ready to move forward. But I think in moving forward, we need to do it in a measured approach and out there and sell this whole idea. And I think the beginning of that is April town meeting with Article 2, and get a consensus from the body at that particular point in time, and again, use that as a springboard to move forward and get more people involved, you know, as far as outreach. So I still think that's a little bit too aggressive. And again, I could be wrong. I've guessed wrong in the past, but I think a little further out.
Mike?
I understand the concern about trying to do it now. But I want to make sure that you tell people why. We're going to ask you why. And make sure you understand the facts. My understanding, meeting with these folks, is that if we don't do it now and do it later, it's another $2 million. And these guys can back up the facts. I'm just taking some notes that I took from our meeting. Another $2 million that it's going to cost us. You know what we could do with our schools for $2 million? We all agree that the future of our school, the future of our town growth, the future of our seniors, lies in this one particular thing. So, I agree, if we do something in April and take the audience we have to educate them on this, because it truly will resolve a lot of these overrides in the future, in the near future. We're talking less than 5 years. But wait, there's another $2 million, Steve, and
This is the first I've heard about $2 million additional by waiting 6 months. I have,
Me too.
sitting here, I have not heard that
I've never heard that
argument placed before us at all, which is part of the issue that we're talking about here. I, as a member of the Board of Selectmen, do not feel as well informed as I should be in relation to those types of
we need to
issues.
take that, and we need to
You know,
take
that's all, you know.
responsibility at April town meeting, not only to educate you, educate everyone else. And I think the cost of not doing it continues to become a serious issue.
You know,
I just want you all to know that.
if we did it 20 years ago, it'd be paid for.
We, you know, we did it back in the 70s, but it cost us $100,000. We all know that, right?
Mhm.
Well,
But we pretty sure it would.
Right.
But you guys
Would've
keep-
cost $100,000 more than we
keep
had.
putting this aside,
Yeah.
The school's gonna deteriorate. What are we gonna do with our high school when that?
This is
You
not,
don't have to
I
sell
don't
it,
believe this
Mike,
is an
though.
issue of
See,
pushing
you
anything
don't have to
aside.
sell the project. There isn't a person here that isn't absolutely 100%, 120% behind this project. The question is, wait, a minute, you said $2 million, okay? The question is, it's gonna cost $2 million more. But if it isn't gonna be approved, then it doesn't matter if it costs $10 million more. Okay, the point is, you need to get to a point where it's approved. Okay, so whether it's $2 million more, and we haven't heard that, Steve's absolutely right, we've never heard any numbers. But see, that's part of the problem, you've got to hear the numbers. We've got to know what the numbers are. You can't face people in the face and say, this is a great project, what's it gonna cost? Well, we're not sure.
it's
So I
more
mean, I
than-
think that,
and
I'd like to
this-
see us, I'd like to see us definitely have this by itself, because it sells itself if it's by itself. If it's not by itself, boy, I'll tell you, you're gonna have a hard time getting people's attention.
Cliff.
One of the, I was a perpetrator of this.
We had it from the other night.
And that was just like that, 5% a year. You're looking at a 5% increase in construction cost a year, minimum. So, you know, every month that you wait, it's a couple $100,000. For a 2.5-month period, you'd solve the school problem this year. So you see, that's the kind of money you're talking about. You have big lever arm on this thing. Big lever arm. So, you know, it makes some sense to put some effort into it, push it along as fast as you can. I agree with you that, you know, if it doesn't pass, it's gonna be another year plus before it's back around again. Maybe never.
Exactly.
You can't lose it. But if you don't take any action, you're not gonna get any action. It'll never get done. There'll never be any return from the investment. There'll never be any sewer. There'll never be any of that increase in the availability of commercial growth. I'm an innocent bystander, just ordinary.
Not anymore.
Hey, I don't know who's gonna run. Again, an innocent bystander.
You're not innocent when you jump in front of the train.
I've been innocent all my life.
You know, there's a high probability that the country's entering into a recession. And one good thing that'll come out of being in a recession is our construction costs actually won't go up. They may even come down. And there's been talk about that in the Wall Street Journal and other journals that I've read. So, you know, at this point, I think what's important is